Oh, my name is Colin. Welcome to the channel. And I promise in this video, everything's going to come from authority, from people who know exactly what they're talking about. I'm not even going to give my opinion. Well, I will give my opinion on the areas that I am an authority on, and that is wookism. And I have over 30 years political experience. And for obvious reasons, I have some identification to what's going on with Bubba Wallace and other things like LeBron James and ways it's been misinterpreted based on the tone of your skin and how it's manipulating people and causing lives to be changed and challenged. And there is a particular case I want to bring up in parallel to the Bubba Wallace situation, in which you should never have a volleyball situation where a person who is a transgender and Bubba Wallace coming together in the same story. But why is it coming together in the same story? Because we're living in clown world 100%. And people who were upset with me in my video about Bubba Wallace were missing the whole point. No, I'm not a NASCAR fan. It's really about the wokeism aspect of it and how things are manipulated and spun out of control for the benefit of somebody else, for political benefit, for a narrative benefit. Who knows? That's a topic for another discussion, but that's what this video is all about. And let's get into this because we have Kyle Petty, who is the son of Richard Petty. That's him right here. Oh, that's me. Yeah, that's from about 2006 at Richard Petty's house. Yes, he's a big Republican and I met him at a fundraiser, but I'm digressing. Let's get back to Kyle Petty. He lost his son tragically in 2000 in a practice run. And I would think that he knows a little bit about safety. And so the key of this particular video is going to be about safety. And it's about what merits the safety of the person participating in a sport. Is it a person who is stronger than someone else competing against someone else in a sport? Well, I would say that's a safety concern, especially considering in boxing when you have weight classes for that very reason. But again, I'm not going to come off of as an authority on boxing or even NASCAR. I'm going to let Kyle Petty talk about this particular incident that happened last week with Bubba Wallace, and I'll let him tell you what his thoughts are on this. And so I failed to mention that Kyle Petty was also a race car driver. I failed to mention that. So he is definitely an authority on this. Let's see what he has to say about all of this Bubba Wallace stuff.
Been suspended for the rest of the year.
Wow.
Rest of the year. Okay.
So he says he should have been suspended for the rest of the year. That's what my buddy said on the last video that I put, the last clip. He said he should be suspended for the rest of the year and heavily fined.
Okay. He drives for Denny Hamlin, who has been vocal about safety. His teammate, the only reason he's in the 45 car is his teammate's career was all but ended because of an accident in this car that the drivers has vocalized that it needs to be safer.
Needs to be safer. Again, this is why wokeism is horrible, because people throw away safety for political narrative. And that's what the first video was all about, was sacrificing safety for a political narrative. Whether the guy is green or is a boy or girl is immaterial. Pick your issue. When you substitute safety for a political agenda, for whatever reason that is a problem.
He turns a guy in the right rear into the outside wall intentionally. Steering brake, that's laughable.
Steering brake.
Okay, turns a guy into the outside wall, then walks across the racetrack. First, you intentionally wreck somebody. That's a suspension.
Okay, many of you said he didn't rub him. Yeah, okay, he didn't, but I still don't understand. Why did he say, well, I understand why he was upset.
Got in low and got loose and chased it up a bit. And yeah, I mean, he got to my right front and it got him tightened into the wall and knew he was going to retaliate. So like I said, I mean, he had a reason to be mad, but.
Is it because he's also trying to placate to wokeness? See, when you gravitate or you're scared for someone because you're afraid of what the woke mob's going to do to you, you don't tell the truth, and then you make yourself look less of an authoritative figure because you're acquiescing that authority that you have to someone else who doesn't deserve it. Does that make sense? And that's what I see was happening. So either he was truly wrong and he ran up on him, or he was right and was afraid to say it.
Into the outside wall, then walks across the racetrack. First, you intentionally wreck somebody. That's a suspension. He's walking across the racetrack and cars are going by him on both sides. That's not safe. That should be another suspension. physically confronts a driver, shoves him. That's a physical confrontation. If I do that on the sidewalk, I'm in handcuffs somewhere, okay? So he
were actually talking about criminal charges for Bubba Wallace as well for that, so.
Physically confronts this driver, shoves an official, doesn't get in an ambulance, walks back to the pits, and then stands and bold-faced tells a fib, I'm being nice, to my man here, Marty Snyder, who did a great job in your interview. I will give you that. So the lesson should be the rest of the year, just the rest of the year. And that's just me, okay? My man,
well, that's just Kyle Petty, who is an authority on NASCAR. His dad's a legend, and his son was a driver, and he was a driver. So, yeah. So he basically said what I said for the most part, and what my buddy said as well. So now let's head over to Outkick with this story that's been breaking for the past couple of days. But this story actually goes back to September. This is a school in Cherokee, North Carolina. And it's a situation where you have a transgender volleyball player severely injures a female high schooler with a spike to the face. Now, people are taking this particular story and treating it with padded gloves big time. If we come over to Fox News, we'll see what they say about it. It says player reportedly suffered head and neck injuries from a vicious spike. This is the Cherokee Board of Education in North Carolina voted last month to forfeit girls' games against a rival school after a transgender athlete reportedly injured a player with a spike. The school board voted 5-1 to basically say that we're going to forfeit all girls' volleyball matches against Highland School after a Hawaii's Dam player reportedly suffered head and neck injuries from a spike from the Highlands transgender athlete. And so this is what they're saying at Fox News, and it's very vanilla, very not specific. And I'm gonna show you this particular clip from a news story and what they had to say about it.
Breaks down what we've learned about this move.
This video from Max Preps shows the volleyball matchup between Hiwassee Dam versus Highlands High. Cherokee County School Board member Arnold Matthews says the force.
So there it says, due to safety concerns for Cherokee County school athletes.
Hit of a spiked ball left one Hiwassee volleyball player with neck and head injuries. Matthews says the Cherokee County Board of Education stepped in and voted to cancel the games of all of the county high schools, Murphy, Andrews, and Hiwassee, against Highlands because of, quote, safety concerns.
So they're canceling all the games for all the schools against that particular school and making the entire district suffer on the behest of one player. So that is a discussion in and of itself. But again, they're citing a safety concern. So here's the transgender going up full steam and the ball is about to be spiked. And let's play it forward. Up in the air, and right there with the arrow is where the girl is about to receive the hit. And because you can't see the actual ball because of the lack of quality, I tried to get the actual video, but they took the video down. I wonder why they would do that. But anyway, so because this is now making national news, by the way. So anyway, so here we go. You can't see the ball, but you can see the impact of the head as it goes back. Right there, see that? Go back a little bit. One more time. Right there. And she goes down. She's down for about a minute and a half. And so let's take a look at another article from Outkick where they actually cover this in more detail where Fox News didn't cover at all. They're, like I said, they're treating this with padded gloves. Transgender volleyball player severely injures female high school player with spike to the face. Way more detail on this one. It says here, the vast biological differences between biological males and females creates any number of problems, whether through competitive fairness or in the case of a North Carolina volleyball match, severe injury. So there's a low quality of the incident, which we just showed you. The female volleyball player getting hit and collapsing and then staying down for a substantial amount of time. The girl is said to be experiencing long-term concussion symptoms such as vision problems and has not been cleared to return to play either by a physician or a neurologist, unquote. This is according to the Blaze. Injuries that suffered have been substantial. Due to her injuries and the unfair, dangerous physical disadvantage that create a, quote, safety issue, unquote, the local Cherokee County Board of Education voted to said before, 5-1, to cancel all future games against the opposing school, Highlands High School. So here we have a quote from Jeff Tatum. He is on the Board of Education. He said this, he said, quote, "I don't know if that's faster than normal, but it seemed like it was coming off very fast, abnormally, especially fast. It not only hit her in the face, then the ball came off her face with enough force to then go back through the net," unquote. Another school board member said the coach claimed he'd never seen a spike like it in 40 years of experience. And so here's my take. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Chad Jackson, my friend who starred in Uncle Tom 2. We actually have an interview lined up. We've spoken many times. He's a brilliant, brilliant man, and he is an authority on the subject of wookism because the guy is just fantastic. And so here's the quote that he put out on Twitter, a fabulous response of a definition of the word woke so that we're clear on what we're talking about here. He says, woke is essentially a word that communists title themselves in order to come off as caring and insightful, since communist has a negative connotation to it. As an added measure of deception, they protect their nefarious lust for big government onto conservatives by calling them fascists. And that may be a little heavy for this particular video, but what he's trying to say is that people who are woke are just trying to mask themselves as insightful and caring on the behest of social justice, which doesn't make any sense. Social justice, all that simply means is that you are in a category that some arbitrary group, who knows who they are, put you there, strip your identity from you. You now have to identify with the group, not yourself as an individual. You have to identify with the group. That's why people like Bubba Wallace can get over when you have Newsgate, where maybe he didn't know about it, maybe he did, but he certainly took advantage of it and got all those contracts and those sponsors so that he could continue to drive and be in NASCAR, because he took advantage of a situation that was maybe his fault, maybe it wasn't. But the fact that he didn't step up and say, you know what, hey guys, whatever, no. He took full advantage of that because he's woke. And that is, to me, a horrible thing to do. And when you have that perception that you can't talk to him, because if you do, then you will be pushed outside of your group and be, canceled. Next thing you know, maybe you won't say, well, maybe you won't say that he ran into me. Maybe you won't say he should get the rest of the year suspended. Maybe it doesn't matter if other people have these things happen to them, because as long as we keep these people happy, they'll leave us alone and the woke mob won't come after us. The blue check marks on Twitter, those guys. And the same thing with this person in North Carolina in the high school. Well, yeah, sure. So let's make everyone suffer because of one person, instead of saying the real reason why you don't want this person playing against your player, because you don't want them injured. Look, you can frame this any way you want. You can plug in any social issue you want. It all plays out the same. At the end of the day, it comes down to one simple concept, is that individual liberties, where do they come from? Do they come from the government, or do they come from God? Because if they come from God, they're immutable or they're inalienable. They can't be changed. But if they come from government, they can change as much as they want, because a mob may come up 10 years later and take them from you, because your rights come from the government. And that is what this channel is all about. And that's what I'm going to speak about, whether or not I am an expert in the subject at all, because I admit I don't know much about NASCAR. I don't know much about the NBA either, but well, I do. That's not really true, but I'm not an expert. But I definitely will go after LeBron James or any of these woke players whenever they do something dumb. That's what we do here. We're the conservative take. We take pop culture and politics and we filter to your rights. And we'll see you guys in the next video.